Hagerty is the world's largest provider of specialty insurance for enthusiast vehicles and supports keeping car culture alive through youth programs, the Historic Vehicle Association, the RPM Foundation, and more. Hagerty is home to key programs such as the Hagerty Drivers Club, Hagerty Drive Share, Hagerty Valuation Tools, the Hagerty Drivers Club magazine, and much, much more. For more information, visit their website at hagerty.com. PCA Sim Racing is proud to have Hagerty Motorsports as its 2021 title sponsor.
Last week, it was a return to the top step for one of our drivers. In fact, Kenny's victory makes him the only repeat winner between the challenge and sport classes. Will his speed allow him to make it a hat trick here in Germany? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch Event 5 of Series 7 of PCA Sim Racing, presented by Hagerty Motorsports. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth tonight is DJ Clark. Taylor Burris and Rachel Whiteford are reporting from pit lane. And up in the producer's booth, we have Ryan Bauer, who is using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. As always, the PCA Sim Racing Series is brought to you by Hagerty. Since 1984, Hagerty has been the worldwide leader in collector car insurance. Everything they do is geared towards enabling and enhancing the experience of automotive enthusiasts and making sure that the vehicles we all love and the lifestyles that revolve around them don't just survive, but thrive well into the future. Services include the Hagerty Drivers Club, Drive Share by Hagerty, the shop, and much, much more to fuel car culture. Hagerty, let's drive together. Now, speaking of driving, many have driven this track, but they're probably more familiar with the Nordschleife. We are on the GP course today, so let's head to our track guide brought to you by GSRC. Welcome to the Nürburgring. Often overshadowed by its older, bigger brother, the Nordschleife, the Grand Prix course has actually accrued quite a bit of history itself. This modern circuit was built in the early 80s as a replacement for the lesser-known Southern Loop. And while it was updated and extended in 2002, it stayed roughly 3 miles in length throughout its history. However, the addition of the Mercedes Arena brought about a total of 6 different layouts to choose from, with the longest including 16 turns. Though not as fearsome as the Ring, it's technically challenging and carries its own fair share of elevation change. Plus, the types of corners come in a wide variety, ranging from the heavy braking into the sharp hairpin of the first turn, to the swift Schumacher S, which is still not quite flat out in a lot of modern cars. Passing can sometimes come at a premium, and drivers are often forced to get creative if they find themselves stuck behind a competitor. But the difficulty that elicits mistakes means that patience can pay off for those who stay diligent. While Formula One raced here on and off for a few decades, it now mainly hosts GT and touring car racing, along with some lower-tier open-wheel series. In the end, race fans certainly shouldn't overlook the importance of this German circuit. While it may not carry the fame of its counterpart, it holds up well and helps keep this worldwide phenomenon relevant to modern racing. Well, DJ, it might not be 160 some odd turns, but it's still going to be a challenge out here tonight.
It certainly is, Joe. The Nürburgring GP layout really tests cars, specifically these GT Porsches that we see out here today. Now, there are a couple of good areas to overtake, but all of them require a great deal of commitment. The 2 hardest places to get those overtakes done, well, that's going down into the Dunlop curve or maybe at the NGK chicane at the end of the long straightaway. The easiest place to get it done, frankly, is on the start-finish straight, coming out of Coca-Cola, lining up a good draft, and getting a good run into the Haug hook. However, as we've seen several times, because of the way that those corners sort of flip-flop back on each other, it means that there is a lot of opportunity for drivers to fight back on any of those overtakes. So that's going to be very, very tricky. The other thing is the fast and flowing nature of some of these corners, like the Michelin curve or the Valvoline curve, means that drivers are going to be on their toes for a lot of this and really holding on to these cars as hard as they can.
Yeah, we've called a couple of races here recently this week ourselves and have seen just how tough it can be. And it's been a tough championship because, as we mentioned, we've only just had our first repeat winner here in round 4, in event 4 rather. But it is Trip Starkey who is currently leading that as we watch the qualifying. And yeah, there is our points, and 948 to 918, so a good 30-point gap back to Trip Starkey and David Krutzler, with a little bit of a jump down to Ankerberg Zone, who's been pretty consistent so far this season. And from there on down, it starts to separate a bit more until we get to a full 100 points back, even by the time we hit 7th and 8th place there. So drivers are now starting to see themselves spread apart. You can see the spread here in the qualifying is pretty distant too, because, man, it's already a second difference between Garrett Taylor and Trip Starkey.
Yeah, that's a pretty sizable gap, but I wouldn't put it past Trip at this point to try to catch back up here in a little bit, try to get his way forward. So we'll have to see. Ankerberg
Zone here, currently working his way around to try and improve on that 11th place as he comes around Warsteiner and up towards the NGK chicane. This is a spot where drivers were going to have to get aggressive with these curbs. And it's quite cool out there right now with the sun just about coming up here in the Eifel Mountains. Let's see how aggressive he is with the curbs. Not very at all. Gives him a decent berth. And I'm sure some of that, of course, swayed by the fact, DJ, that he's got a motion rig, so I can't imagine that feels too fun bounding over them that hard.
No, certainly not, Joe. And we talked to a couple of people that have those motion rigs, and what they really do is that they eliminate some of the problems that you sometimes see in sim racing with setups and that kind of thing, that they will actually take into account if you put some softer springs on it there, that they won't be as rude to you necessarily. We watch here Adam Spence in the 55 making his way out of the NGK chicane and coming around right now. Late apex there into Coca-Cola, carrying some good momentum onto the start-finish straight.
Adam Spence, let's see if this one's going to count. It does. It's a 58.8. That's good enough for 5th position. So as and Michael Burgoyne is going to have to get out there and set a time, because we don't have too much left here in this session. What about Briggs, the number 29 car? Looks like his most recent lap deleted as well. Hector Garcia, another one of a few of our drivers still yet to set a time. Now, Rachel, as we bring our pit reporters in here, last time we were at a track that was maybe a mere 25 years old or so. This time, even though the GP course isn't that old, the Nürburgring itself is, close to 100 years old, I think, at this point.
It will be in about 3-4 years, actually. This track, the Nürburgring in general, was built between 1925 and 1927 and actually employed 25,000 people to build it. It was originally 14 miles long, 14.2, and it was shortened, this is the Nordschleife, to 12.9. And parts of the second shorter track, which was the Südschleife, or the southern track, and the Nordschleife being the northern one. Part of the southern track was actually converted, which was originally 4.8 miles, I think, to become this track, the new Nürburgring F1 track, which was built in the 80s. And little known fact, the Nordschleife itself, not this GP portion, is actually open to the public. It is a toll road during the year, only closed for tests. You can drive on it for 23 euros, which I'm sure quite a few Porsche fans would love to do one day. drive their own Porsche around this place. But the track is phenomenal, of course. Now, this GP portion is included in the actual Nordschleife as well for the 24 Hours of the Ring. So you'll have that whole combined track experience there. But it's funny because most people, I think, when watching would think, Eiffel? Isn't that a tower in Paris? No, it's actually a region in Germany. And they like sausages here. But then again, so do most Germans. It seems like a major trend across the country. And they have some darn good ones from my experience, actually. I could tell a story about a rather ill-repute part of town in Nurburgring, at about 2 in the morning, having to try and find currywurst, but I can go into that another day.
Well, I'm jealous on a number of facets because I haven't been across the pond and definitely want to get out to the Nürburgring and definitely want to try some legit German sausage. Looks like qualifying with about 30 seconds left here and a few of our drivers trying to get that second lap in. I'm seeing if anybody is able to set a remaining time. And unfortunately, it looks like nobody is close enough to that finish line here in those last couple seconds, which is a good opportunity to head down to Taylor, who's got our spotlighted driver here today. Who's got the light shining on him?
Well, one driver who I'm going to be shining the light on is Craig Smith. He's going to be starting in the 20th position in his number 74 Porsche, but he has a little bit of experience of actually driving here at the Nürburgring. He's had the privilege to drive at this circuit once, so maybe a little bit of that experience will come into play later in the going for him as he tries to conquer this race circuit to maybe get a good top 10 finish or maybe a top 5 or podium.
Looks like warm-up now started. Grid is set. We'll go to that pretty soon. DJ, as we mentioned, we've both watched a couple of races already this week here with very similar cars. And two things that really stuck out to me. One, the difficulty in passing out here, even with GT cars. And two, the incident limits that they have set here. That is the two things I think we're going to be watching for most.
Yeah, big time, Joe. It is very, very tricky to get by here. As I said, you have got to be very, very brave on the brakes to get anything done. And more often than not, what you really have to do to get a full move done is just absolutely force the driver ahead of you into a mistake. We talked a little bit about that at Canada. We talked about that a little bit when we were at Fontana last week, about that mental game that you have to play. So that's going to be a big part of it. And then, yeah, you also mentioned it. This is a modern modern Formula One circuit, rather. And as such, there's a lot of paved runoff around here, a lot of places you can run the car wide and pick up those dreaded 1Xs. So drivers have to be very, very careful of that. You don't want to get too many over the course of a race.
Certainly not. And hopefully they've spent plenty of time here in the practice and now get the last little bits out in warm-up to try and figure out exactly where those track limits are. The 74 is taking his sweet time to come around. Not sure if this is practice for something, but going around some of these corners quite slow. And we mentioned a little bit earlier about the double win so far this season, of course, for Drew Kenny. But still down in 10th in the points after that, even with the drop week included for the abysmal race 2 that Drew had. Just can't seem to catch up to Tripp Starkey. It's going to be a bit of a distance considering how much Tripp has been running up at the front so far this season. So you can see the temperatures are rather low with such a low sun in the sky here in the morning. It's only 66 Fahrenheit on the track here today. In fact, some of the drivers were even complaining before we came to air, DJ, that it was a little dark when they started.
Yeah, it was. And really and truly, what that temperature is going to do more than anything else is it's going to affect that first couple of laps when these drivers get out there. They're going to have to take it very, very easy, specifically going down into the Haug Hook and the Mercedes Arena section. That's an area of track that requires a lot of mechanical grip on those tires. And if you push it a little bit too hard, you get a little bit too over-eager on the throttle, that's going to spin you into a nice little loop-de-loop. And that's not what these drivers want to see, as we see a driver right there having that same problem coming out of the Dunlop chicane. It's going to take about 2 laps for them to get fully up to temperature, I think, these tires.
Yeah, that was Bergzong right there, actually, that we saw looping around at a sort of home track here today for Anker. Just coming out of the final curve, taking a look at that pit entry. That's another, Bart, that could cause some issues around here. We also witnessed at least one driver find his way, unfortunately, into that pit wall, trying to make a quick entry.
Yes, we did. Very tricky, and we will have pit stops out here today. Fuel is limited, so remember that's going to come into a little bit of strategy, and we'll have to see what these drivers do over the course of the 45 minutes. See if somebody decides to go for an undercut or an overcut as a way to get around somebody, maybe get themselves out of some traffic situations.
Now, before we get to the racing, we want to talk about our sponsor, which is Z1 Dashboard. With each new upgrade of the Z1 Dashboard software, it gets better and more feature-rich, and version 2021.3 is no exception. The Z1 Designer lets you create your own custom displays for use with the Z1 Dashboard, so in addition to the almost 200 standard items, you can add your own custom designs and place the data you want exactly where you want it. Remember, the Z1 Dashboard also takes care of the engineering and strategy for you and helps make sure you are maximizing your on-track performance. To find out more, visit z1dashboard.com. So, this will now take us to our starting grid here for today. And it is Garrett Taylor who is on the pole. Trip Starkey, our points leader, will be to his outside, and Mark Lacombe will be in third. You've got Adam Spence in P4 with Kim Frick in fifth, and David Kaufman in P6. Drew Kenny down in seventh, exactly where he sits in the points. We'll see if he can improve from there. Adam Chick will be to his outside, and then it's David Krutzler in ninth and Scott Rogers starting 10th.
In 11th, it's going to be Gordon Waddle, followed by Andrew Smiley with Ankerberg Zong down in 13th. Justin Evers will be 14th, followed by Greg Palmer and David Purdy, with Scott Kessel lining up 17th and Chris Pippin to his outside in 18th. Jason Sherwood will be 19th, followed by Craig Smith, who rounds out your top 20.
21st goes to Robert Benson with Jeff Lashway in 22nd. Then it's Stevenson in P23, followed by Robert Gordon. Next row has John Kearney to the inside and Daniel Dugas in the outside as Freddie Lopez starts 27th. Last of the drivers able to set a time, Thomas Briggs, Chris Evie, Hector Garcia, and Michael Burgoyne did not set lap times. And already the Porsche pace car is leading them away. So let's see how today's 45-minute event unfolds. Will anybody be able to use the pit strategy here today to try and get themselves some overtakes if they find it too hard to try and get by their fellow drivers? Pace car going to pull in, and then they have to wait for the green flag. Garrett Taylor will have control of the pace as he waits patiently out of Coca-Cola. Will he get it quickly, or will it be a bit of a pause as they all get stacked up from that chicane there at the end? Getting a little bit of distance between himself and the second in the row. It's waiting a long time to give him the go as Garrett Taylor finally sees the green flag waved, and he is away. Still gets a decent jump over Trip Starkey. We're almost 4 wide behind them. Looks like Scott Rogers got a monster jump on the field. Way down to the inside, we've already got a wreck down into the first corner. Hal Cook sees a few cars spin off to the outside. Everybody behind makes good avoiding action.
Yeah, Joe, and that looked like it was the 08 machine that just got a little bit cockeyed. That was David Kaufman. I'm not sure entirely what happened to him, but that's what set off that big calamity. But up front, Garrett Taylor continues to lead from Starkey. Drew Kenny with a great jump there, able to avoid that fracas and move his way up into third place.
He did have a little bit of contact on the very inside, but yeah, he found an opening and managed to make do. Sounds like Taylor's got a bit of an update on that wreck. Taylor, what happened?
Looking over the replay of that incident, David Kaufman just hit a little bit too much grass, sent the car around, and unfortunately collected several other Porsches involved in that incident. So just a tough break where he just misplaced his Porsche in the wrong area at the wrong time.
Looks like Scott Rogers had a little bit of a bump down into Ford, and he went off into the gravel and smacked the wall. I think he's able to keep it going, but oh, and there goes Drew Kenny. Our two-time winner finds himself hard into the barriers through the Schumacher S.
And that was just a self-spin, Joe. He just lost it by himself.
Oh, sorry, he just returned onto the track and unfortunately caused even more problems. Oh, that was a sloppy return for the 12. Unfortunately, multiple cars had hard contact.
Yeah, it looks like Lashway and Kearney may have been involved in that as well. So a lot of calamity happening here early on.
Well, Taylor and Starkey were ahead of him, so they have distanced themselves, but it's now a gap of about 2 seconds back to LeCun in third place, rather, coming around to complete lap 1. Frick is now promoted up into 4th, Krutzler into 5th, and Wardle, P6. We're on board with Palmer back here in 8th.
Yes, indeed, trying to close in on Ankerberg's zone the best that he can. Everybody staying in line right now. Looks like nobody's going to have a real move. Oh, right behind them, a very late onto the break is Patrick Adamczyk. As there, you can see they climb up the hill. He is in a close battle right now with Thomas Briggs. Briggs trying to make it work around the outside.
Watching from on board Adamczyk as he goes very defensive. Briggs once again getting aggressive, but has to fall back slightly. Now they come out of the arena down towards Valvoline, and he's lost enough time that we head over to Wardle instead. Gets up to within a couple tenths of the rear bumper of Krutzler.
Yeah, trying to close in on that red, white, and blue machine. Good run there for him coming out of the forward curve. Is he going to try to poke his nose going down into Dunlop? It doesn't look like it. I said you've got to be very aggressive to make that move work, but oh, behind. That was a little bit of a look by Chris Pippen, I believe, on Palmer.
Ooh, and a great exit off the corner, nearly pushing him off the turn. Still not able to risk it down into the Schumacher S, so Palmer pulls a little bit of a gap over Pippen. Still sizing him up, coming down into Michelin. Looks like he's a little too far back. As this has been going on, it sounds like it's not been a day to remember for Drew Kenny. Taylor, you have a friend there already?
Drew Kenny has already taken it behind the wall after also being penalized for his unsafe re-entry. So a tough break for the past 2 winners, the past 2 wins that he's collected so far this season. So it's going to be a tough recovery for him. We'll see how it matches up in the point standing after tonight's race.
On screen, that was Pippen making contact with Palmer. Palmer trying to make a move into the chicane. Excuse me, no, it was Pippen trying to make a move into the chicane. Overshot it a little bit. Palmer tried to cut back, and the two made contact.
And we didn't really talk about this, Joe, but when you get down into that NGK chicane, it's really a one-lane street. So very aggressive move there from Chris Pippen. You see him trying to pull along, get ahead, and then, yeah, a little bit of a fight back and banging doors and spinning around. That's exactly what can happen. You saw that big hop of the Porsche over the curves.
Trying to figure out who that was that zipped by with a great little avoidance maneuver. I think that was our Lego car. Yeah, Thomas Briggs, I think, who managed to sneak past. Back to Wardle, though, in 5th place, just chasing on Kim Frick. He's got to watch out because David Krutzler is still watching, interested to see how this will develop. They come down the hill towards the hairpin once again. We watch from the rear wing of the 66.
Yeah, and I like what Wardle's doing here. He is just throwing that car left and right, trying to get into the mirrors of Kim Frick as much as possible. Oh, great run out of Dunlop.
Wardle thinks about it, but once again, those good runs seem to just not go anywhere, DJ, because they come up to the Schumacher S, which is incredibly marginal in these cars.
Yeah, it is. It's just a little bit of a lift. There's not enough to really send it in there. And now they come up through Michelin again. It's about a 3rd gear corner in these GT3s. You see the late apex there for Wardle. That should allow him to carry more speed. That's a really heads-up move. Watch for the move here coming down in NGK. I think he's going to go for it.
Kim defending, but a little too late. Has to come back to the racing line, side by side, down into the braking of the chicane. Wardle almost has nose ahead, and now he is through. Gordon gets P4.
And that was very hairy there. I thought for a second that Mark Lacombe up ahead of them was going to come into problem with that and almost serve as a pick to these drivers. Lacombe has a little bit of rear damage on that car, so I have to think he's going to be a little bit of a sitting duck to Gordon Wardle in the number 5.
Gordon certainly is on a tear right now. He's within 0.3 of a second and gains even more time down under braking into Howard Cook. A little bit too hot into it, way off the apex. That could send him back into the clutches of Kim Frick.
Yes, it could. I think he was trying to do a little bit of what we saw him do through Warsteiner, just take a later apex there to carry more momentum, but it did not pay out. As you see, he just didn't even get the car down to the apex. Now as we ride on board with David Crutchler, who's in that popcorn position, just watching all of this battle play out in front of him.
He's still hopeful, I think. Here is David Purdy. In the meantime, back in 13th. Car in front of him is Hector Garcia, all the way up from 30th, if I'm seeing this correctly. I don't know how he got that far up in 4 laps, but kudos.
Yeah, that's a heck of a run there for him. Hector Garcia there in 12th, up 18th, as we just talked about. Absolutely mega run there for the 26.
Indeed, and just to report, Pippin got overtook Thomas Briggs for the 8th position down to the hairpin, that time through Dugas, who is also going to have a similar situation into the Dunlop curve. Jack Stevenson is going to be able to stay ahead as he played defense.
Yes, he is. So there you saw it. I said you've got to be bold to get that pass done into Dunlop, but drivers doing it out here early on. Now we ride on board with P14. This is Craig Smith trying to close down on David Purdy as they make their way out of the Warsteiner curve. This is one of the longer flat-out sections of the track as they work their way around.
On the front stretch for our leaders already. The field is spreading out very quickly. We could see some lap traffic around here despite it taking nearly 2 minutes to circulate. A little bit of a look there into the chicane, but unfortunately nothing doing. As this is Wardle side by side with Lacombe, and Lacombe is going to have to give it up. He can't hold on around the outside into the arena.
No, he's not. So there goes Gordon Wardle on up into the podium positions. Kim Frick almost getting into the back of Mark Lacombe there as they come out of that second left-hander in the arena section.
Back watching with Kim once again. These three only separated by less than a second down into Valvoline. Here's where the track really starts to drop away, plunging, opening the door a little bit. Wardle then shuts it before Lacombe can manage to get his foot in. So he'll have to try again later, but he's trying to make Gordon think twice about things.
Yeah, he certainly is. And Joe, I mentioned earlier that Lacombe had some rear damage on that car. I've taken a closer look at it. It doesn't look like it's any damage on the wing itself. It's just on the rear fender. So I think he's able to get away scot-free and not have too many problems.
And another bit of contact between Robert Benson and Daniel Dugas. The 22 got spun around. He's back rolling, but he's in 20th position. Down into Warsteiner. And looks like these two pulling away a little bit from Kim Frick now. But I don't think Mark is ready to give this one up quite yet. Getting some speed up as they climb back upwards towards the NGK chicane. Certainly not close enough to attack at this phase.
No, certainly not, Joe. Definitely trying to press on here the best that they can. See us separate out a little bit more as we jump our focus back in the field ever so slightly.
On to the front stretch. And a little bit of a defense from Wardle. He's just covering off the inside, but he's well far ahead. Didn't think he really needed that. Back to the racing line for him and on to the brakes. Nobody able to have a go down into Haug Hook for the time being. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it looked like David Crutchler had to check up there a little bit behind Kim Frick. Just the momentum of that number 6 caught him off guard a little bit, and that's part of the tricky part going into the Haug Hook. It's a downhill corner, so you're actually fighting the weight of the car in addition to everything else and the speed to get that car wound down and around the corner.
Starting to see drivers just taking different lines into there and getting very close to the back of Frick. Crutchler was threatening to make contact with the 66. Thankfully did not. Could have been an easy spin with the way that corner just swings downhill. Backs away a little bit. Oh, and off the course, that was Wardle. Losing one spot, potentially losing another. Frick side by side. coming down to the Schumacher S, recovering. Looks like the 5 car is able to at least retain 4th place. Oh, that slowed up Frick, though. And Frick pulls off to the side as Krutzler now moves into P5.
So a little bit of shuffling around here, about 10 minutes into the race as we keep going around. It's Ankerberg Zone there in the back, who's now having a look at Kim Frick around the outside, and there's the move for Anker.
What has happened to Kim? The car has seemed terribly slow. Not sure if there's some damage on the 66 or what, but that Porsche just doesn't seem to be at full tilt. Ankerberg Zone gets up into P6 with that move. Yeah, something's wrong. And Kim, heading into pit lane, must have gotten some damage with the rejoin from Wardle, I think.
Yeah, I just took a look at it there, Joe, and it looks like as he's making his way around, the steering wheel is at about 45 degrees to drive straight, so he probably picked up some suspension damage.
Picking up where he left off, Wardle was already trying to pass Mark Lacombe. That didn't work down to the Hal Cook. Ooh, going way wide out there. Oh, and going way too deep as well. He's going to spin him around and hit him a second time. And there goes Krutzler by into 3rd, picking off 2 cars like it was nothing.
Well, I talked about some of that patience that you got to have around here at the Nürburgring. You don't want to force the issue if you can't help it. But that's exactly what happened there with Wardle and Krutzler. And look who is now up behind Gordon Wardle. That's right, Ankerberg Zone up 8 positions, ready to make his attack.
Just sandwiched between Wardle and Pippin behind him. There you can see Wardle in front in the blue and yellow. And in his rear view screen, we got a glimpse of Pippin. A little bit of a wide exit there from Wardle. Wonder if he's also experienced a little bit of damage. Bergzon thinks about it, then holds back, but that's going to make him slow. Down to the Schumacher S. Now Pippin's got to run, has to cover him off. Down to the inside into Michelin. The 248 comes back to the racing line. No change of position.
Everything staying nice and easy right here. No battle really starting to go, but Chris Pippin, I think, is the one to watch. Carried a little bit too much speed there coming out of the Warnsteiner curve, but he looks like he may be one of the ones to pick up the scraps here if this battle between Ankerberg Zone and Gordon Wardle continues to flare up.
First 15 minutes of this race have been eventful. We look down to P14, Scott Rogers. Remember, he had a bit of an off, getting unceremoniously shoved in forward curve. Right now, he's looking to try and catch up to Craig Smith. And, oh, it looks like Pippin managed to get by Briggs. This happened in Coca-Cola. Or no, he defended on Briggs, I should say.
Yes, he did indeed, but ooh, Briggs with a late lunge down into the Hal Cook. Is he going to be able to hold that line? It's going to be side by side with Pippin as they come up through the Mercedes arena. That is going to be Pippin to the outside. How did he do that, Joe? How did Thomas Briggs not lose that car?
I don't know. I thought he was going way too deep into there. Let's take another look at it. I think the switchback that you were talking about early in the broadcast has definitely played it to his advantage. He had the inside for the next corner. He just got on the power as soon as it stuck. And Pippin really had no response. He tried to cut back on him. Maybe a little too polite. Pippin maybe could have drifted farther over and carried more speed, but it was not to be. Oh, and it looks like Wardle is in the pit lane as well.
Yes, he is. He came in on that last lap there, Joe. I'm not sure if that's damage repair or what it is exactly.
As we come back to Pippin and Briggs. Whoa! Big switch back into the Schumacher S. Too wide into here. This is going to slow both of them up, which will be great news for Mark Lacombe. He is going to come on strong behind them, but it looks like he's not quite close enough as the battle continues on. Down in a Michelin, still side by side. Briggs just carrying a little speed, but gets a bump and another bump behind them as Lacombe and Garcia come together. And it's going to wind up with Briggs in 5th, Pippin 6th, Lacombe still in 7th, and Garcia in 8th.
Blink and you'll miss some action. Chris Pippin looking like he's trying to have a little bit of attack there on Thomas Briggs going down into the NGK chicane, but not able to go for it there. He's going to pull back just a little bit and let that develop as it looks like Lacombe. Lacombe is going to dive on into pit lane.
So he's getting out of that mess. Wonder if any of the contact had anything to do with that. Whoa, big defense here from Briggs. And Pippin is having none of it. He's going to keep his nose to the inside. He's going to try to outbrake him down into the Hal Cook. But I think he outbraked himself. No, he's going to pull the move that was pulled on him and hold the inside. Pippin into fifth.
All right, Chris Pippin learning how to make some moves here. It looks like Thomas Briggs is trying to get a little bit of a fight back where he can, but doing what he can. Ooh, trying to carry some more momentum. There is Briggs. He may have a little bit of look going down into Valvoline.
Does he dare? It's a swift left-hander. He does dare. He's going to try to get down to the inside of him, but he can't carry the speed off of it. If they keep messing about, Hector Garcia will be able to run them back down again. They finally go single file. Now, unfortunately, we had some contact with Scott Rogers and somebody else into the first corner. I'm trying to make out who it was. In the meantime, Taylor, I understand you've got some info on the 737.
Yeah, Scott Rogers in that Cobra Kai machine as he's working in the 11th position, having a strong run for him. Of course, has been a part of the sim racing community for quite some time. PCA Racing has been less than a year, but he has shown a lot of great talent. One of the things, though, he loves about the accomplishments he's had in the PCA is winning the Summer Series Challenge class events during the off-season of the PCA. He even got a free hat of that by having 0 incidents in a single PCA event. But one of the things he has to make sure before he starts any race in the PCA or official iRacing events is that he has to make sure that his cats are fed, because otherwise they will find a way to get his attention during the race, whether it be pulling his hair, jumping in his laps, and getting tangled in his pedals. And being a cat owner myself, I 100% agree with what Scott has to do to make sure that they are happy before he starts his event.
That'd be a pretty bad distraction, I have to imagine, as he comes out through the chicane himself. And we've had about half the field in and out of pit lane, but I don't think many of them were scheduled stops at this stage. So we come back to Garcia. Oh, and so a little bit of a mistake from Thomas Briggs will open the door, but he's able to recover in time. Even still, now he's got a mirror full of the 26 machine.
Yes, he does. Trying to get back in the best that he can. Garcia closing in on Briggs. He's going to try to take a little bit of a narrower line there out of the Mercedes arena. Briggs catching a little bit of curving. Immediately goes back defensive. Garcia fighting this way and that. I don't think he's going to be brave enough to make the move going down into Valvoline. And indeed, he's going to stick it in line here. Let's see what his run is out of Ford.
Ooh, might be better. He's down to the apex a little more, but he pinches off the exit, and Thomas Briggs will live to fight another day. He almost lost that spot there through Ford curve. And once again, drivers struggling, including Pippin, who just goes around, and both manage to sneak to the inside of him. But unfortunately, the 21 will fall to 8th, maybe even to 9th, because here comes Scott Kessel.
Yeah, Kessel trying to come up behind Pippin. There we ride on board with Kessel in that 48 machine. Seeing what he can do closing in. He's definitely got a little bit more speed. I don't think Pippin's got too much damage on the car, but he definitely just lost a little bit of the momentum.
Down into the Michelin Warsteiners, back and forth where you really need to get the exit, but it looks like he drifted wide. That corner deceptively tough and so important to your lap, so he's not going to have the pass on Pippin this time up into the chicane. Pippin's been in a lot of the stuff we've been covering so far, and in spite of all that, he's still sitting in 8th place, which is actually up 10 from where he began this race. Instead, we head on over to Garcia, who is also fighting with a fellow yellow car. Thomas Briggs just in front of him.
And I have to say, I think that was a little bit of a short-sighted move there out of Hector Garcia. Late on the binders, though, going into the Hal Cook. As ahead of him, Briggs took a wide line through Coca-Cola, and Garcia tried to dive it down the inside there, and he was able to pull up alongside, but the problem is Garcia out on that low line. Whoa, there comes Garcia through the second part of the left-hander in the Mercedes-Benz arena. He's going to lose out time, though. He had to check himself up, but that is Briggs going wide. They're side by side.
Got the mistake out of him anyways. Garcia now into 5th position. Remember, this is the guy that failed to qualify, started from 30th, and is now literally up 25 positions. We think legitimately this is not just due to pit stops. So unbelievable stuff from the 26 car. Unfortunately, it's about 6 seconds up to Ankerberg's zone, so he's going to have to really hustle to get another one.
And yeah, speaking of those pits, by the way, the first car to come up and down pit lane is Mark Lacombe, and that car is now up to 12th right now. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on that number 19 machine as a little bit of a barometer here in the race.
And it sounds like Taylor's got something to build on for the Lego car. What's up with Briggs?
Well, Thomas Briggs, it's hard to believe, has only been sim racing for just about a month. And one of the things that he has enjoyed about the PCA is, of course, the Ballast Point Entry League. The first race he ran with that series started 19th, ended up coming home in 4th position. And there's one thing to see about this driver is that he has exceptional talent working on here after just being on the series for just about a month. And then one of the things he also loves is working with his dad to get the setups needed in order to be as competitive as he is on the racing circuit.
Well, right now, he's going to have to try and make up for his own mistake there coming out of the arena and catch back up to Garcia. See if he can challenge it. The 29 down into the break into the first corner. He actually overshoots it just as we cut away. So we come to Craig Smith now in 15th, up 5 spots from where he started. Kim Frick just in front of him. Unfortunately, it's been reverse fortunes for the 66 car compared to some of our front runners. He's gone backwards from 5th place and is still on a rear guard, it seems.
Yeah, it is just trying to do a little bit. Ooh, we've had a big hit in the back, though. Jack Stevenson and Mark Lacombe coming together through the Haug hook. Lacombe on the outside, Stevenson, I think, on the inside.
Sweet. Oh, yeah, driver's trying to recover there. And Lacombe is going to have a lot to discuss. In fact, he's going to come back with Kim Frick. No, Frick is actually already passed, unfortunately, so he's still got some ground to make up. We are just about halfway through this race as we come back to Evers here. 8:30. Don't think we've shown a whole lot of this machine. He's up about 7 spots, and it seems to be probably a miraculously quiet race for the 8:30.
Yeah, he's probably pretty happy about that, considering most of the field at this point has had some sort of damage or coming together. So I think a quiet race is exactly what the doctor has in order there for the 30.
So down into the chicane, and we come back to Ankerberg's zone now. Been running on his own. In fact, let's ride on board around the Nürburgring Grand Prix course. DJ, talk us around.
All right, well, this is that main straightaway. And as you get ready to go down to the Haug hook, get the car over to the left, hard onto the brakes, and get a little bit of trail braking as you get through the corner and let the natural camber of the track bring you around. Now, coming back to the left, you don't want to get onto the throttle too early here, otherwise you go wide. Wind it back up again to the right, little dab of brakes, and down into second gear, and then keep it over to the left so that you can take this final part of the Mercedes arena absolutely flat out and keep your speed up. Now, this is the first point where you can really start to take a quick break, then a little bit of a brush of braking down into third, and then a little bit harder down again here into the fourth curve. Both of those curves tightening up a little bit. Watch the curves on exit. You can get out there a little bit wider. Now, coming down into Dunlop, get that car over to the left, hard onto the brakes, and get it down into about second gear right at mid-corner, and then power away and get going. Now, here comes one of the really tricky ones. This is the Schumacher S. It's just about flat out, a little bit of a feather of the throttle there through that left right. Then as you bring it back up the hill, you've got to get ready for the Michelin curve. This is deceptively tight. You come down onto it, little dab of the brakes down into third gear for the left-hander, and then you brakes again, bringing it in and nice and easy back onto the power. Keep it in third gear through there. Now, absolutely flat out as you come up here through this curving swing right-hander, and now you line up for the NGK chicane. Hard onto the button. This is about the 100-meter board. Take a big chunk of the curbing. You can do that here in these GT cars, and then bring it back over to the left before you get ready for the Coca-Cola curve. Now you're going to hit the brakes here, bring it down into third gear, and wait on the throttle. You don't want to get there too early or it'll spin away, and then power back on, and you're on the main straightaway.
And that's a lap around the Nürburgring. Thanks to DJ for talking us through that one. In the meantime, we're still waiting for 1st through 11th to come down pit lane. We've had a number of drivers already run afoul of some drive-through penalties. I see Scott Rogers, Lashway, and Lacombe have all been through. But Kim Frick has been in and out in what appears to be a legitimate stop. Just under 10 seconds in his stall. So the 66 is going to come back out, and we'll see where that will put him in the end.
It looks like that'll slot him back into 12th as he's able to keep on going. Behind him, it looks like Adam Spence, Scott Rogers, Patrick Adamczyk all coming down for regular service right now.
So is this starting to kick things off now for our drivers? And will we see anybody have to make a second stop for those who had to come in early? Because Andrew Smiley was one of those. He came in 12 laps ago, and we're only 14 laps in, so I suspect that's a yes for him.
Yes, it is. So just waiting to see what this strategy is going to play out for. Now, obviously, a lot of these guys, Joe, not really worried about fuel saving here at this point. Oh, but the leader, Garrett Taylor, diving down pit lane.
Taylor looking for his pit stall, and Starkey's going to stay out Krutzler. Is he going to do the same? Yep, it looks like he's going to stay out. Burgoyne is also not making motions down into pit lane. So interesting that our leader has decided to come in and unfortunately misses his stall a little bit. That'll be costly. Now, the gap wasn't all that big, but it also, I don't think, was close enough that that could cost him a position.
No, indeed. I think he should be okay. The gap was about 5 or 6 seconds for him back to Starkey. So Starkey, if he's got guys in his ears, he'll know to be absolutely pushing hard here. But there is Garrett Taylor as he comes back out and shuffles around. It looks like the gap between him and the leader is about 28 seconds.
All right, and in regards to our former highest bidder, Kim Frick, Kim just coming around along the front stretch right now. So that gives you an idea of where the 66 will be positioned when all is said and done. This is Trip Starkey, or was Trip Starkey on your screen. There's the 66 of Frick. Now we can see the Rocky Mountain region car coming down towards Michelin. This should be approaching the end of the pit window here with 15 minutes left. Looks like Jack Stevenson is in, I can see. And looking to see if there are any others down on the lane right now. It looks like nobody other than the 10, so a little bit of a lonesome run for Jack. As Trip Starkey now enters the final chicane. Here is the commitment point. You got to try to make your way into pit lane, and the 20 does so.
All right, so now Starkey coming down to see whether or not this will play out for him, waiting for anybody else behind him to see what they will do.
And I'm not seeing, nope, Krutzler is coming in, excuse me. So, yeah, just that far back for David before he managed to make his decision. Ankerberg Zone, though, will keep going. Looks like Hector Garcia is in, but Garrett Taylor is already done with his, so he's going to be released. Hopefully wasn't too held up there by Hector. What about Trip Starkey? 8 seconds, 9 seconds in the box, 10 seconds. It's a little bit of a long one. And Taylor is already through. Excuse me, Taylor is through. It's around the first corner, and Starkey just coming out now. The gap looks to be about 7 seconds.
All right, looking at that pit stop delta, it looked like Trip Starkey was a lot faster cone to cone, obviously with that in and out there that we had talked about out of Garrett Taylor, but it's still able to maintain a good gap there. Is the 18. He'll have some nice breathing room to just get on with business now.
Pippin, Purdy, Kessel, all in pit lane. So we're now just waiting on Burgoyne. Looks like Evers, and Burgoyne, as well as Craig Smith, to finally come in for fuel and hop back out down into the hairpin here, and that is Trip Starkey ahead of Evers. But again, the 830 car needs to pit, so this is a battle for position, but this is not on the same strategy.
No, and it looks like as of now, the only drivers not to come into pit lane is Anker Burgoyne, Joseph Evers that you just mentioned, Michael Burgoyne back in 6th, and Craig Smith back in 10th. Everybody else has found their way down pit lane.
Few able to go relatively long here today. Will that pay dividends as the sun continues to rise here in Nürburgring? And Kim Frick on board with the 66, now behind Burgoyne. Again, with a car on a different strategy, this could be a problem. Look how much faster Kim is than Michael.
Yeah, indeed, and that's a little bit actually surprising. I would have expected Frick to be able to be a little bit lower on fuel, or Burgoyne rather, to be a little bit lower on fuel, and so maybe able to go a little bit faster as Anker Burgoyne does make his way down pit lane. But we watch these two duke in and out a little bit, as that's going to be Burgoyne holding ahead of Frick.
And finally, Kim is released. So let's see, is Burgoyne going to be able to get out ahead of Kim? It might be close. Anker is rolling. Kim is just coming down now. This is going to be very tight past the cones, but Kim's got the momentum, and Anker Burgoyne isn't able to stay ahead. So Kim back into 4th after the stops. Looks like the last of them are coming in, which means it's time to bring you the Midway Race Report, brought to you by Z1 Dashboard. With each new upgrade of the Z1 Dashboard software, it gets better and more feature-rich, and version 2021.3 is no exception. The Z1 Designer lets you create your own custom displays for use with the Z1 Dashboard. So in addition to the almost 200 standard items, you can add your own custom designs and place the data you want exactly where you want it. Remember, the Z1 Dashboard also takes care of the engineering and strategy for you and helps make sure you are maximizing your on-track performance. To find out more, visit Z1 Dashboard. Rachel?
Danke. Well, let's start off with the top position. This is Garrett Taylor in the 18 car. He is from the Kansas City region of zone number 10. He started on pole today, and he is very much still out on pole after a tumultuous start. He is the one survivor from this group. Second place is Anker Burgoyne as Trip Starkey right now because we're getting some shuffling around here. Trip from Rocky Mountain region of zone 9 in that 20 machine, and that beautiful Tartan car there is putting on a great run. He actually has recovered his position. He was running lower down. He's climbed all the way back up to second place now where he started. Third place is David Krutzler from the Suncoast, Florida region of zone number 2 in that 6 machine, putting on a good job today. Krutzler is up from 9th place. Fourth place is Kim Frick from the Niagara region. Kim has had a busy day as well. He started in 5th. He's back to 6th, up to 4th, at the moment, and keeping that car moving. P5 today is Anker Burgoyne from the northeast region of zone 1 in the 248. Anker getting a great job done today. It's been up and down for him right now, but 13th up to 5th is a big climb for him today. 6th place is Hector Garcia of the Gulfstream region, zone 12. There in a gorgeous, gorgeous livery. The Automotion machine getting a good run out today. Garcia up from 30th to 6th. This is the biggest climb of the entire race, and an absolute barn burner for a non-qualifying driver. Wow, he definitely had speed. Joseph Evers in 7th in the 830 from the Big Sky region of zone 14. Evers up from 14th to 7th right now. That's a gain of 7 for him. 8th is Chris Pippin, the Kansas City region driver from Zone 10 in that 21 machine. He's Pippin his way up the field as I try for another terrible pun, up 10 spots. Scott Kessel, who is clearly trying to imitate the Millennium Falcon, is moving on as well. He's up another 10, currently from 17th, actually 9 I should say. He's in 9th place right now, but getting a great run on the field at the moment for him, Northeast region driver from Zone 1 in that 48 car. Craig Smith, just behind David Purdy, is in the 010 car from Peach State region. The Florida driver there from zone number 3. Purdy is up 7 places. 11th place right now is going to be Michael Burgoyne from the Oregon region in the 021. Zone number 6 there. Burgoyne is currently up from 31st, so that's a huge move for him as well. Up 20 spots. Not quite as much as Garcia, but very, very, very admirable. 12th place, Scott Rogers, Rocky Mountain region of Zone 9 there in the 737. Well, unlike the actual airliner, his car is definitely on max. He's moving forwards. 13th place here is going to be Gordon Wardle, who's had a rough one today. Wardle was further up. He ended up dropping back after a couple of donks he's had on track today. Gulf Coast region driver from zone 12. Started 11th, went up through the field, and come back down again. 14th is Patrick Adocek from the Upper Canada region of Zone 1. The 407 machine there. Started 8th, currently running back in 14th. Jack Stevenson in 15th place in a very, very green Porsche there. Zone 13, the Chicago region driver. A bit like the colour of the river in Chicago when it hits St. Patrick's Day. They love that day there. Absolutely love it. 10 machine is getting a good job done here from 23rd right now to 15th. Taylor?
We're going to go out of this world with Craig Smith in the number 74 in his very vibrant outer space Porsche. Started in 20th position, gaining 4 spots for the Mid-Ohio region driver. Moving on down to 17th position in car 55, it is going to be Adam Spence from the Kansas City region. Adam not having the best of nights after starting in the 4th position. Hopefully can try to find a way to recover up to the field as he is the last car on the lead lap. He struggled on the opening laps, but the Pacific Northwest region driver is still pressing on. That is David Kaufman, who started inside the top 6 as he now sits in 18th, 1 lap down. 19th is Andrew Smiley from the Connecticut Valley region, car 17, having a little bit of a difficult night as well after starting in the 12th position, looking to see if he can find a way to get back on the lead lap. Rounding out your top 20 is Robert Benson from the Rennsport region in a beautiful Falcon tire livery, a very iconic paint scheme that you will see here running at the Nürburgring during the 24-hour event as he tries to work his way up through the field. 21st position is Greg Palmer from the Milwaukee region in a Gulf livery Porsche, trying to see if he can hunt down. He's got a little bit of ways to go as he's 28 seconds back from his next competitor. 22nd position goes to the 13 of Jason Sherwood from the Diablo region in a Martini livery paint scheme as he works his way up through the field. Of course, he started in 19th, has lost a couple of spots since the start of the race. 23rd in the number 4 car from the Hudson Champlain region is Jeff Lashway, having a little bit of a quiet night, has not really made any major gains in the standings after starting in 22nd, 1 spot lost. Car number 8 in the 24th position from the Metropolitan New York region is John Kearney, who started in, I believe, looking at time and scoring, he started in 25th, has stayed in moving up a spot in 24th. Daniel Dugas is there in the Hill Country region, rounds out your top 25 as he's trying to hold on and finish out this race here at this challenging circuit. And then as we move back to the last car in the race, it's the 777. Let's see if luck can find his way to up through the field. It's the 777 of Freddie Lopez in 26, the Pacific Northwest region driver as he works his way back around the circuit. 4 drivers are out of the race: Mark Lacombe, Thomas Briggs, Robert Gordon, and Drew Ketty.
Some significant names in there and our DNFs, but this concludes tonight's Midway Race Report, brought to you by Z1 Dashboard. So thanks to Z1 Dashboard, as well as Frau Whiteford and Taylor Burris. And we currently come back to Scott Rogers with one of our closest battles on track, Burgoyne being chased down. Scott still on a bit of a recovery drive, two positions down from where he began this one, as at least he had most of the race to try and get back to this. That red and white 021 you see is Burgoyne. They're trying to get himself away, and is actually much farther away than just about half a lap ago.
Yeah, he's definitely started to stretch that advantage out just a little bit. Hector Garcia coming down pit lane. That's not a penalty. I'm not sure what that is there, Joe.
Yeah, that is interesting to say the least. But while we try and ponder that, sounds like Taylor's got our trivia for the evening. Taylor, what's the scoop?
Well, of course, when it comes to Porsche and sports car racing, one race here at the Nürburgring everyone wants to win at, and that is the 24 hours at the Nürburgring that started back in 1970. Of course, we're looking for this answer to this question. Which Porsche team has the most wins as a team at this event? We're looking for that number one Porsche team who's collected the wins, as well as the amount of wins that they've collected since racing at this historic event.
So the 11 of Scott Rogers gets back on it. I thought he was falling away from Burgoyne. Oh, and there's a little mistake from the yellow and black machine once again. Gordon Wardle now starting to rock up to this battle. It could become a three-way fight to decide the last position within the top 10.
It could indeed. Wardle carrying some great speed down there through the Ford curve, rather. See if he can do here on going down into Dunlop. Just tucking in behind, trying to take a little advantage of the draft. Oh, he is so late on the brakes, Joe, but that looks like it's kind of hurting his exit a little bit. Not there, though. Look at that run.
I think it was also a bit of a mistake from Scott Rogers, too. Kind of outbraked himself and then had to catch it there on the entry into Dunlop. Wardle was close for a moment. Now he falls back. Can he do something here in this final 2 minutes of this race? He can if he gets more mistakes like that. Once again, Rogers struggling at the end of these tires, coming down through the kink and back up the hill. Wardle is ahead, but now he's going to have to play defense to keep Rogers from fighting back. And Rogers has a little bit of a look, but not a serious one. So that is going to be Gordon into B11.
Indeed it is. So there it is. Wardle on that recovery drive, as we said, able to move his way back up to his starting position of 11. He may be able to have a shot here at Marco Burgoyne if he keeps things together.
Back up to Evers, chasing on Pippin. Pippin back to 6th place as well. They head down through Valvoline as we come back to our leader. This is going to be the white flag for Garrett Taylor. It is a handy 13-second gap to Trip Starkey, so really no pressure from behind currently.
Yeah, he really just has this race completely under control and pretty much has since about lap 2. A great drive here from Garrett Taylor. Top 3 all really separated out here.
On the front stretch, Trip Starkey trying to go past some of the lapped cars. Probably going to cruise home himself. He's got about 15 seconds, actually 16, down to David Krutzler. Podium all separated out here in today's 45-minute race. In fact, some of the closest battles we have, you have to go all the way down to 13th. That's Stevenson and Spence in that one, who are among our last drivers on the lead lap.
Indeed, and bad news for fans of Gordon Wardle. He got off into the grass, going down into the Haug hook. His race is done.
Oh, so close to the end. And he's apologizing a bit. Oh, and Garcia is off. Why is Garcia off as well? This happened in the arena, and I think he had a little bit of contact after the fact with Robert Benson. So not sure if Garcia will be able to get to the finish line. Looks like he is able to move the car. So Looking now at Garrett Taylor down into Michelin, just flanked by a couple lapped cars, that number 18. And Garrett Taylor going to be the second driver to get 2 wins this series for our challenge class. This has been a one well earned for the number 18 machine. Doesn't seem like anybody had the speed for him today. Stayed out of trouble, kept it clean, hit the strategy right. So as Garrett Taylor comes up to round Coca-Cola for the final time in this race, it's going to be celebrations for the red, white, and black car with victory here in Germany.
A commanding drive, a commanding qualifying for Garrett Taylor, and a cruise to victory here for him. We follow on board with Anchor Burgoyne as he maybe tries to close in on the back of Kim Frick ahead of him to see if he can maybe pip away a 4th place position.
It's going to take something desperate for that. I think he's a full second ahead. Frick will have to have a major error here in the chicane or the hairpin. Can't imagine we're going to see that. No, that one's clear. Oh, maybe we did. He's going slow. Did he get a slowdown penalty? He allows Anchor Burgoyne by as Hector Garcia comes into the pits behind them. Or is Smith out of fuel? Or Frick, rather. I think Frick is out of fuel. Oh, right at the end. Commentator's curse strikes again in one of the most unusual ways, but it's only 1 position lost.
Only 1 position lost. Anchor on the radio right now, a little unbelieving that happened. So a great 4th place there from Anchor Burgoyne to just power his way on through. We follow here Michael Burgoyne up plus 21 on the day, according to my timing and scoring.
Yeah, 31 to 10th, and just ahead of Scott Rogers. So it was a little tight there. Purdy as well, not too far ahead. Could have been 22 positions. Last driver on the lead lap is Craig Smith, and that was 15 cars of 30 starters who managed to complete all the laps today. Let's go through our finishing order. Garrett Taylor with a 2nd win over Trip Starkey by a wide margin, as David Krutzler is going to come home 3rd, 31 seconds behind our leader. Anchor Burgoyne just off the podium, unfortunately, but still 13th to 4th. This is a good day to celebrate. Kim Frick could have been 4th place for Kim, but miscalculated a little bit on that fuel. Chris Pippin was 6th as Joseph Evers finished 7th and Scott Kessel 8th. And it was David Purdy P9 and Burgoyne from 31st to 10th.
Amazing run there for Burgoyne. Behind him, though, it was Scott Rogers in 11th, followed by Patrick Adamczyk, with Adam Spence and Jack Stevenson in 14th. Craig Smith was 15th and the last driver on your lead lap. David Kaufman was 16th, 1 lap down, as was Andrew Smiley and Greg Palmer coming home 17th and 18th, with Robert Benson and Jason Sherwood in 20th.
Hector Garcia, unfortunately, coming down pit lane as the checkered flag fell. 21st for him as Jeff Lashway finishes in 22nd. And it's Gordon Wardle, who looks like he may have DNF'd today, there in 23rd. Kearney still running in P24, 2 laps down. Dugas also not around at the checkered flag. Lopez still cruising 26th as Lacombe and all behind him did not manage to finish this race. I believe we've got our winner ready to talk to us. It looks like Garrett Taylor here to join in. And Garrett, you've joined a select few this season who have managed 2 wins, and you did it in style, 12 and a half seconds. How'd you manage that?
I was in the zone tonight. I ran a practice race yesterday, and that really helped. So tonight was just, once I got out in front, it was just about clicking off laps and staying out of trouble.
Speaking of staying out of trouble, we saw a few cars unfortunately fall victim to the incident limit, get drive-through penalties. With how many places there are paved runoff out here, did you have to play it a little extra safe? Did you give yourself a little more margin than usual?
Definitely. There's a lot of places that you feel like should be more than okay to drive, and then you end up with an incident point. So it's definitely a track where you stay within the white line.
Well, this is the smaller course here at the Green Hell, and we're going to the circuit over in the United States next round that is considered the mini Green Hell. Do you feel like this has prepared you for VIR?
Not at all. I've never driven VIR, so we'll find out next week.
All right. Definitely get some practice in. It's twisty. Congratulations. Is there anybody you want to thank for today's victory?
I want to thank Doug and DJ for running race control tonight. They put a lot of time in for us, and that's pretty neat, cool.
Yeah, we definitely want to extend our thanks to them as well, as it's sometimes a thankless job. That was our winner, Garrett Taylor, as I believe DJ's caught up with Trip Starkey, who was P2 today.
I have indeed. And Trip, a little bit of a lonely race out there for you, but a pretty solid one nonetheless. And also, I'm getting told that you were the cleanest driver out there today with only one incident.
Well, that's definitely a first for me in this series.
Well, how'd you find it out there today? Obviously, not a lot of not able to really keep touch with Garrett. It looked like, even in qualifying, he was just leaps and bounds ahead. But you ran a solid race and got yourself a good points haul.
Yeah, even through practice and qualifying, Garrett just had the pace, and so I just decided to race my own race and accumulate as little points as possible.
Well, I'd say you did a good job with it, Trip. Are you looking forward to coming back stateside and running VIR, or is that going to be one that you're a little worried about?
Definitely. I'm really looking forward to VIR. I mean, it seems like quite the roller coaster, so I'm excited to see what next week holds.
Well, we're excited as well, my friend. Anybody you want to thank for this second place here today?
My friends and family and my girlfriend, who all support me for whatever reason, and of course all the guys at Podium and PCA who put this together.
Well, thank you very much, Trip Starkey. That was your second place finisher out there today. And Rachel, I believe you've caught up with our third place finisher, David Krutzler.
I have indeed. Yeah, David, thanks for joining us. Busy day for you today, up 6 spots from 9th where you started. It looked like the beginning was quite tumultuous. How was the race for you today?
Yeah, it really was. I think I started around P9, and I just knew I had to keep things clean. And I learned a lot after last week, so I just kind of let things unfold in front of me.
Yeah, obviously the beginning of a lap here is really tough, but it seemed like passing opportunities were at a premium. How did it go for you?
Yeah, it was good, and lap traffic was good. This is a great track. I've been on it quite a bit, not with the 911 GT3R, so I was struggling with the car, but all in all, this is a great track, and I'm happy we could be here.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Anybody you'd like to say thank you?
Would also like to thank my buddy Bryce, who's always tuning in and giving me tips. Brett and Chris from the series here, who does the track walks. It helps out a lot, so appreciate them.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us today. David Kutzler coming home in third.
Well, that ends our interviews for the challenge class. That doesn't end our racing. The sport class is coming up here at the Nürburgring. Stick around because the PCA Sim Racing Series presented by Hagerty has more to come.
Hagerty is the world's largest provider of specialty insurance for enthusiast vehicles and supports keeping car culture alive through youth programs, the Historic Vehicle Association, the RPM Foundation, and more. Hagerty is home to key programs such as the Hagerty Drivers Club, Hagerty Drive Share, Hagerty Valuation Tools, the Hagerty Drivers Club magazine, and much, much more. For more information, visit their website at Hagerty.com. PCA Sim Racing is proud to have Hagerty Motorsports as its 2021 title sponsor.
Welcome back to the Nürburgring. We're getting ready to watch the sport class here in the PCA Sim Racing Series presented by Hagerty. And after what we watched before with the challenge drivers, looks like it really will be a challenge around this track. And speaking of the challenges, of course, it's been tough in the championship, and at the top of it, Thomas Dougherty hasn't won since round one, but he's still on the point by about 34 points over Mark Harris. From there, it's only 12 points down to Villeneuve, who's just been kind of chipping away at things. He is yet to take a win. Arnie Playson rounding out fourth. There you see things get a little tighter down around Peter Yurza, Keith Morgan, and Sarumi. Only about 12 points between 6th, 7th, and 8th. And then it extends all the way down to 782 points for Daniel Florian. So we're seeing drivers continue to find themselves a little bit of a gap here in the championship hunt. So as we finish that, we now, of course, have our sponsor for today, and that is Pirelli. Pirelli was founded in Milan in 1872 and is a global brand known for its cutting-edge technology, high-end production, excellence, and passion for innovation that draws heavily on its Italian roots. Pirelli is among the world's major producers of tires and is an OEM supplier to Porsche. Find more about Pirelli at Pirelli.com. And that will take us to today's grid with qualifying already over. And it is Mark Harris who will start on the pole with Avijit Barua in second place. You've got Thomas Dougherty, who is in third with Keith Morgan at P4. After that, it's Daniel Florian in fifth, Lonray Sarumi in sixth, and Robert Walton in the seventh position. Trey Davis will be to his outside. Jason Brodigan starts ninth, and Rapalus starts in 10th.
Starting off in 11th will be Ben Leung, followed by Volker Krebs with Peter Yurza and Carl Bucchier behind them. 15th will be Dean Chapman, followed by Arnie Clausen with Adam Holland and Donald Binkley lining up in 18th. 19th will be Antonio De Silva, and Stephen Jacobi will round out the top 20.
Edward Trepay starts in 21st. Then it is David Snelling in 22nd, followed by Hillman in 23rd. From there, it's Mungia in 24th, with Tom Crane starting 25th and James Bernard 26th. Last two to set a time were Henry Rogers and Al Sadouk in 27th and 28th. Simon will start from the back of the field, as he is the only one unable to set a time in qualifying. Looks like we are getting ready to go here in just a moment as the Porsche pace car already leading Mark Harris up to the chicane. Last time it took a long time for the green flag to wave, and Mark is already pulling quite a ways away. Hopefully we can get the other cars stacked up here. Don't want them to accidentally get a jump. They are supposed to make sure and stay nice and tidy with the leader here on the starts. Out of Coca-Cola, Mark Harris in the Chrome 981 waits for the green flag to be waved by Barney. And there it is. Green flag is out. Ooh, it's a poor start for the second row, unfortunately. And behind them, it looks like Morgan might have something. Florian as well, but Florian breaks a little bit early down into Hal Cook, where we saw some mess before. This time, everybody trying to give space around that tight right-hander, and we're through.
We are indeed. I saw one car slide off in the background. Oh, Dean Chapman getting turned around there in the first part of the Mercedes Arena section. So already a little bit of incidents. And oh, those are some of the leaders spinning there, Joe.
Oh, that's into the second part of the arena. Looks like Dougherty is involved in that. I see Barua falling down the order. And it's monster gaps up at the front because of that. Drivers having to scatter. Harris leads Florian, leads Walton.
And Dougherty all the way to last place as a result of that. I'm seeing De Silva, Snelly, Clausen, Bucchier, a lot of drivers involved early on.
Rachel was hanging out by that corner. Rachel, what happened?
The Dean Chapman incident, he came across in the 666 there of Ryan Rapala, so nothing he could really do to avoid that one. Really unfortunate timing, just cars came together 3 wide, it's going to happen. And of course we had the incident just a moment ago with Dougherty, and that was a bad one because that was right in the middle of a corner, so lots of contact there. I can tell you that that was actually a factor of him again, another driver coming across when they weren't clear on the 991 of Abhijit Barua. He'd gotten past him and he just came across into the corner. So guys, this is early on here. If you can't fit a bratwurst through the gap, don't try and put your car in it.
And we had 2 more you saw on screen go off. So Rumi and Jacoby, unfortunately. Oh, and more cars. Looks like Hillman and Simon now. This has been a bit messy at the start, unfortunately, but you can see Mark Harris is unfazed up at the front as we see some of our leaders enter the front stretch. Florian about 2.3 seconds behind Walton in 3rd, and Brodegan in P4. We ride on board with the 14 car right now. Rapalos, in the meantime, heads into pit lane after receiving a black flag, I'm assuming, for an orange zone penalty there at the start. So we check in on Trey Davis in 7th place. He's got a train of cars behind. That's Krebs, Clayson, De Silva, Binkley, and Bucchier.
Yeah, he's just trying to hold them off here at this point. Has a nice little gap in front of him to try to extend if he wants to the tune of about 1.3 seconds to Keith Morgan and Ben Leong. But Trey just trying to keep ahead the best that he can. You see him looking in the mirror there.
There was a little bit of a try into the corner ahead of him, Morgan on Leong, but didn't stick. Meanwhile, as Clayson, has a bad exit, Krebs streaks away, and now it looks like that is going to be De Silva, and the 24 to his inside, down into the hairpin. There's a lot of banking here, but not enough for Clayson to dare try and take it around the outside. Instead, he clips the rear of De Silva, has to once again check up. Now Binkley and Bucchier are attempting to try and set up a pass, but they can't get in there. A little bit of offline for Binkley. Binkley keeps it from spinning out on those curves through the Schumacher S, but can't keep the car of Bucchier from passing him.
Heads up driving there from Carl Bucchier, just taking advantage of the situation where it was. And I also love what Antonio De Silva did there, going down into the Dunlop curve, just tried to push Clausen off that line a little bit more and make it an awkward turn in. Very, very heads up. But we jump back up here. Jason Brodegan, who's trying to chase down the final podium position here of Robert Walton.
It's Lee staying tight here for the podium fight between the 5 and the 14 along the pit straight once again. Now back to Edward in the 14th position. That's Adam Holland in front of him, the bright yellow Porsche. He is about a second behind him, so bit of a distance right now. Let's see if he gains anything under the long braking zone here into this extremely tight hairpin.
Yeah, very, very tight corner. Everybody, Constantine is up a little bit as they go through there and then work their way up into the left-hander around the Mercedes arena. You see their drivers trying to take a little bit of an advantage through the second left-hander, but nothing doing here for right now.
Back to Keith Morgan in 6th place. Ben Leung in front of him was under threat before, but it seems Keith has given him a little bit more breathing room. So behind them instead, Trey Davis trying to play catch up as the driver gone from 8th to 7th so far. And he's got about, looks like, a second to make up to these two. There's Davis on your screen now in the 217, hailing from the First Settlers region, taking it through the Schumacher S. And that has been a corner that has claimed multiple victims already tonight.
Yes, it has. And looks like behind it also just claimed Adam Holland, who just had it off coming through there as well. So the Schumacher S catching out yet another driver here in the PCA Sport class.
Oof. Holland hitting the wall and whipping around like a windmill. He's trying to get back rolling, but it seems incredibly damaged. We're going to take another look at it.
Yes, you can see him there. I think he takes a little bit on that inside curve to get set up. Yeah, just gets that car upset. Carries a little bit too much speed through there, and that sends him out. And a very, very damaged Porsche worked its way around the track now.
Morgan still chasing Ben. I wonder if we could hop a little bit back. Arnie in the 242 is under serious threat. Bucchier is on it once again. He's taken 3 spots. He's going to try for a 4th. He's looking at it, but he's not close enough. He doesn't get the overlap. He really gains in the second part of the braking, and then drops back coming off of Hagerty.
Drops back right on board with Burgoyne right now as he tries to close in there on the back of Trepay. Trepay looking a little bit aggressive on Donald Binkley up ahead. That's for 12th right now. This is starting to be a little bit of a train, and I like this for the 907. He's just got to wait back and give it time before he can be ready to take the move.
Yeah, we've already seen so many mistakes here today. I think patience is going to be key. So we'll... Ooh, and he does take a little bit of a look down into Ford. I don't think that was a serious one. Train of about 5 cars here, all being led along by Arnie Clayson in the 242. Once again, looking over the dashboard of the 907 at the back of the train, a little bit wide up in front of him from Arnie Clayson. Doesn't open the door quite enough. They're all going to file through the Schumacher S. Let's make sure everybody gets through this one cleanly, and all 5 of them do.
Yes, they do. So everybody's nice and good through here. Looks like Bucchier and Clausen are starting to build a little bit of a gap between Binkley and the rest of this train. We check in again here on Brody, and there is on board, though, with Carl Bucchier as he is closing in a little bit on Arnie Clausen, definitely giving that green 242 a little bit of trouble.
And he's close, but not close enough. And getting on the binders, he gets it down to less than a car length up ahead to Arnie. If he could get enough of a run off of Coca-Cola, this should do it. Remember, he showed his nose last time, DJ, but as we come back to Sarumi being chased, it appears. This is with Bernard just behind him. Actually just made an overtake, and that's going to give Sarumi 17th.
Right, and remember, Lonray was a little farther up the field, and he is on a bit of a recovery drive right now, so it'll be interesting to see what he is able to do as this race continues to develop. Jumping back to Carl Bucchier now, had a little bit of a look going down into the Haug hook, but not enough. Oh, wow. Whoa, I thought for sure he was going to run into the back of Clausen there.
Not quite yet, thankfully. This is one of our drivers that has taken a win so far this season, Carl. He attributed a little bit to luck. It was at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, but you got to take them when they come. And he was still the first to the finish line. Today, a little bit far back for that. He's already 17 seconds off of our leader, Mark Harris. But looking at a potential top 10, they're gaining on De Silva in front of them. Whoa, late strike. Almost became a strike onto the back bumper of the 242. Thankfully, they did not come together. But Carl's starting to feel a little aggressive here.
Yes, he is. And I got to say, he's feeling very, very confident on the binders. I would not be surprised if we see him throw a very late pass going down into the Haug hook, maybe even into the NGK chicane here at some point, because he just feels like he has that car perfectly wound up under him when he gets onto the binders.
Arnie was looking at potentially overtaking Antonio there for a moment, and then decided to back out of it. So we come back to Bernard once again. Ooh, and somebody offline in front of him. That's Duke. But Al, who did set a qualifying time. I forgot for a second who was the only non-qualifier. That's Simon back in, looks like 23rd currently. But Saduk up a number of positions. Doesn't take another one. Coming into the chicane, doesn't lose another one either, as remember he was being threatened by James, but James a little slow out of that penultimate left-right sequence.
Yeah, not exactly the setup that he would have wanted to really be able to get that set on Saduk. They're going to be single file here. It looks like the field's starting to calm down ever so slightly here as we tick down under about 10 minutes gone in this race. Jumping up, though, to the battle for P3. It's now really turned into a 4-car battle, pretty much. Robert Walton being hounded by Jason Brodigan, but Ben Leong and Keith Morgan keeping up that fight behind them as well.
Walton, I wonder, let's see, I'm checking his lap times. Doesn't look like he had an issue. It's 59.5, so that's a decent lap for him. There's a 59.4 for Brodigan. Brodigan had a 59.1 the lap before, so Jason is on it right now and has been closing in on that potential podium spot, but he's bringing friends with him. Leung is in there. Keith Morgan is in there. He's got to be careful. If he makes a go at things, he could find himself under attack.
Yes, he could. Leon looking very, very threatening there to Jason Brodigan as they make their way through the right-left there and back out onto this sweeping kink here before they get into NGK. I don't think he's going to be close enough to really make a dive, but it's going to certainly make Brodigan think about it a little bit more.
So we come through the chicane. Look how much he has to crank into the wheel to get through there. Walton starting to put some distance between himself and the 14, the silver and black of Jason Brodigan. Does he cover off Ben Leung? Ooh, Ben's got a very good run here. If he wants to be aggressive, he could maybe have a go at things. He is going to try and get his nose in. He's going to get to the inside. Can he make the apex? Yes, he can. But now he's got to launch off the corner. And no, Jason will hold him back by the time they get the arena.
And that's exactly why that is such a fantastic sequence of corners. Leon trying to look down on the inside there through the second part of the arena, but not able to do it. And now, in turn, that has allowed for Keith Morgan to catch right up to the back of that 290. Gets a better run there out of the arena, but runs a little bit wide. He's got to catch it. He's not going to be able to make attack down into Valvoline, but keep an eye there on that 700 machine. I think for every time one of these guys tries to make a move, the one behind is going to be looking to pounce on them instead.
I think you're right there. So it's going to be a little bit sketchy for Jason if he manages to catch back up to Walton. And now they are coming upon some lap traffic. Florian is a little ways ahead. He just overtook Andrew Hillman. And that could also play a part in this, especially since there's a few little twisty bits, especially at the start of the lap, DJ. If they catch Hillman at the wrong time, that could create a pick situation.
Yeah, it could, and we obviously see that a little bit more in oval racing when you come upon lap traffic, but can certainly come into play here as they start to catch up to some of these lap cars. And that's really where you got to sort of start thinking with your whole brain as you go through as one of these drivers.
And a late dive down to the inside, coming into the chicane, but not able to make it stick. And now we're starting to see some signs that drivers are getting a little impatient about where they're stuck. Will Clayson do the same? Oh my goodness, he almost actually hits the back of De Silva. He doesn't attempt to pass, he almost finds himself making contact.
Yeah, he's a little bit lucky there, trying to take a later apex, maybe carry some more momentum through Coca-Cola. Oh, Joe, but we are 3 wide almost going into the Howe Cup. That is Leong and Brodigan and Morgan really getting fearsome there. Now Leong and Morgan fighting for that position. They shuffle back into order, but woo.
Here's the replay on that one. That first corner is just so inviting. It tempts you into trying to make an overtake, and both of our drivers behind Brodigan thought they could make one. Both of them showing their nose, and thankfully it did not become an accident. After that, coming out of the arena, Leon managed to get by Morgan, I think. Did we actually have a pass?
No, actually he got past Brodigan, and Morgan got past Brodigan as well.
Oh man, Brodigan giving up 2 spots and essentially 1 straightaway, and he falls to P5, but he's still with it, and there's still plenty of racing left to go, so he can't count the chickens yet.
No, he certainly cannot. As we've seen many times, getting the position here at the Nürburgring doesn't necessarily mean you're going to break away and sail off into the distance. You've got to keep fighting here as these cars continue on. And the other thing we haven't talked about in this race in particular is the pit stop cycle. Maybe coming out a little bit early or later could help some drivers out. We'll be right on board here with Edward Turpay as he tries to close in on the back of Donald Binkley.
This is down through Warstein. You can see how the track falls away through there. And Donald Binkley just in front of him. Edwards got a good shot. He's very, very close. He's thinking about it, but then he comes back to the racing line. Certainly threatening. The 0-2, well, and the 0-2 is going to get out of it. He's going to come into pit lane. I hope this is a scheduled stop and not a penalty, an incident penalty here.
I'm not seeing any official black flags there for the 0-2, so I can't imagine Binkley would fall afoul of the incident limit here. So I think this is probably him just thinking he may not have the speed to get through. Yeah, we're hearing confirmation from our director. Only 4 incidents on the day. So, yeah, that is not a penalty. That is a planned pit stop.
Going early out there. Morgan. And Morgan is also ahead of Brodigan. No, excuse me, we watched that earlier. That was Brodigan dropping both of those places just before. He's also starting to lose some distance, it appears, as it's up to 1.2 seconds to what has become the battle for 4th. Leon just ahead of Keith, coming out of the hairpin. Good exit from the 290, so the Brumos Porsche will stay safe for now. And in the meantime, Taylor, it sounds like you've got some info for us.
Yes, I do, actually. One driver who I'm wanting to look at is Volker Krebs, who's currently running inside the top 10 right now. One of his favorite drivers is a 5-time winner here at the famous Nürburgring 24 Hours. It is none other than Timo Bernhard, who picked up 5 wins in this series. He's been a longtime fan of that driver as he works his way through the racing here. See if he can get a few more spots as the race progresses.
Seen some drivers duck off into pit lane. Will we see any more potentially try to follow suit? Tom Crane down here in 18th. Wow, this is a big train of cars. So Duke, Crane, Bernard, Rogers, and Holland. That's all for position. And quite a variety of colors as well into here. Coming into Michelin corner, nobody able to make the pass, but down at a Warsteiner, there was a late dive from Rogers with the Falcon livery. Looks like he got chopped off. Bernard not having any of it. They come up to the chicane, and a little bit of a defense initially from Al, but the 29 comes back to the racing line, and another late dive. This time it goes from Bernard, and he's way slow. We get some contact as Rogers comes into the back bumper.
Yes, indeed, but Al Saduk, did he get a slowdown penalty there or something? Looks very, very slow coming out of that chicane, Joe.
I think that, is that Crane? Yeah, I think that's Tom Crane, actually, who's slow in the yellow machine. So, not exactly sure what caused that. Maybe just trying to stay out of trouble. Feels a little unsure of things. We come back to Leon just as on screen we saw Holland make a move, and yes, Holland is able to get through into that 20th position, but look at how tight it's starting to get between Ben and Walton. When did he catch up this much?
I am not sure, but Ben Leong on an absolute charger here, and he's got to watch out because he has fully drawn Keith Morgan along with him, and that's Morgan making a move down the inside.
Caught him napping, distracted as the 5 was just ahead, and the Brumos Porsche loses a spot. This is actually very helpful for Brodigan, who reels them back in a little bit. Morgan looking over the rear wing, back down to Ben Leon. Will he fight back into the chicane? He's thinking about it, but looks like he's not serious about it.
No, I think that was a little bit of a mind game there from Ben Leon, but that offline has allowed for Jason Brodigan to catch right back up. So we're really facing down a 4-way battle here for this final podium position. Ooh, good speed there from Jason Brodigan coming out of Coca-Cola, but he was forced to check up a little bit coming through there, and I think that's going to cost him a chance at the run down the straightaway.
Things getting hot, and all this is happening behind Mark Harris, who is continuing to lead by a significant margin, about 5.6 seconds over Florian. Mark going to be another repeat winner here in this series if he can hold on to that. All three of them down through the arena, all four of them really, since Oulton has not been able to stretch away quite enough yet.
No, he hasn't, although he really, really wants to. He wants nothing to do with this Hornet's Nest, and the thing he is hoping for right now is to really allow for these guys to keep fighting so he can try to streak away, but it just doesn't look like, even with all the fighting they're doing, that Oulton is able to do so.
No, and as they all plunge down the bottom of the track, nobody is near close enough to try and make a go at things, at least at this stage. I see Dean Chapman coming down pit lane. I think that might be another pit stop, or we're going to get a few more going for that. Is Bernard going side by side? Yeah, that is Saduk to his inside. And he tries to cut back, contact between himself and Henry Rogers, who did not expect that. Rogers still able to get by. Holland might be able to overtake as well, but just chopped off down to the racing line as Bernard gets back in line.
That was an aggressive move there for Bernard, but a good one to be able to cut down on that. Whoa, this is what we call a Hornet's Nest back here, Joe. Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These cars running in a straight line.
Oh, another late move, almost making contact with Rogers. Rogers has been in the thick of it, and a mistake off the corner. This is all for 17th, which now goes to Henry Rogers. Al finds himself demoted. He's offline coming into the Schumacher S. Bernard knows it. James trying to see if he could put him one more position down. Shows himself in the mirrors, breaks late down into Michigan, and he's through.
Did he even break it all on that, Joe? That was a great move for him down into Michelin. As now they work their way back up, as they're going to be a little bit of a fight. But we've got leaders, Florian and Oulton, both into the pits.
Indeed. And it looks like Florian already back out, so he's going to give up that second place temporarily, and he is coming out in quite a bit of clear air. It looks like Oulton might as well. Yeah, he is going to be fully clear. He found a huge gap with nobody around.
Yes, indeed he is, and I think that's exactly why he chose to come on in then. Here is Brodigan, though, as he's trying to close in on the back of Ben Leong. Oh, that's getting a little bit spicy. Love that helmet at him, though.
The fantastic design there from Brodigan. Let's see if he can rebel against these two and manage to get back onto the podium. Morgan still ahead of Leung, and Brodigan just in line, now being promoted a couple spots with the two drivers ahead of them that took their pit stops. In fact, they're coming back around to the pit entry pretty soon themselves. Will they respond, or are they going to run it long?
Let's see what they decide to do here as they come into the MGK chicane. This will be the moment of last commitment as they come around. This is going to be all three of them here. Anybody looking like they're going to dive on in? No, this battle's going to keep raging.
And in the meantime, sounds like Rachel's got some info. Rachel?
Thank you. Yes, no, obviously we know these guys watch the other races, and one thing I've noticed from the first one is from previous races we've had, whenever there's a pit stop race, which is every other week, of course, you tend to see the guys from Sport upwards learn from that challenge race and see what's going to happen. And at a track like this, especially, clean air is so important. So yeah, you're absolutely right. The reason why these guys are pitting a little bit earlier tonight is they are literally seeing the clean air advantage. With the field being more compacted going for the early entrance of the window, it gives these guys a lot more options, and cleaner air gives them more racing room. So that is definitely why they're doing that, and it's helping to actually open this race up a little bit more for them and allow them to actually run a better race, especially if your leader's doing that. Now, this will be more dramatic, I think, come club and come pro, but for now, we're definitely seeing that evolve. So it's changing from the kind of the midway point that we always saw to where strategy really depends. At VIR, that will not be as big a deal, I think.
Certainly not. And we've been continuing to watch this battle for what is now second here with Morgan just leading ahead of Leung and Brodiguen. A couple little pokes and prods through the arena section. Some of the drivers thinking about it, and Ben actually has got a very good run. I don't think he's got enough here in Michelin, and no, he's not going to try and attempt anything. They're going to come out on the long run up towards NGK here. Everybody trying to get the best launch possible, but nobody seeming to get themselves within striking distance.
No, there is not, but they do have a big gap in front of them as Mark Harris has been able to pull a 14-second advantage over these drivers. So now Morgan, Leung, and Brodiguen, again, we asked the question, are they going to come into the pits? And again, we answer no. So they continue to go around here. There is your leader right now, Mark Harris, in that silver 981.
Yeah, some of that is, of course, extended by the fact that two of the drivers behind him have pitted. And so Morgan should not be back up in second place as far as we're aware. Sounds like Taylor's got some info on our race leader, though. Taylor, what you got?
Well, of course, Mark Harris has had the privilege of driving here in Germany. Unfortunately, not in a Porsche yet. He actually has driven in military vehicles here in Germany, including the Netherlands, Portugal, and England. So a very extended driving career across the European nation, as we'll see him seeing what he can do in a Porsche in the virtual world in Germany.
So Mark Harris going to try and see if he can use that European experience to good effect out here today as we come back to P11. So Rumi yet to stop, chasing Will Mungia. He's got to watch out. Remember, Dan Florian has pitted behind him. It's about 3.5 seconds, but Daniel probably a little bit quicker, we imagine. Oh, Bucchier is off. We haven't looked at Bucchier in a while, and it seems to have gone bad. Some contact with Arnie Clayson into Valvoline has sent him spinning.
Yeah, it's a great run there out of the Mercedes arena from Bucchier. He just tries to look it down to the inside of Valvoline. Remember, we talked about how quick of a corner this is. Sends it there. That is just bad luck. I think that was Clausen coming down a little bit and Bucchier drifting up a little bit. Very, very close.
And a significant development with Leung and Brodiguen. It looks like a wreck, unfortunately, has tripped him up with lap traffic. Henry Rogers making contact with the Brumos 290, and that has allowed Brodiguen go by, and Morgan has just pulled away.
Yeah, I just took a look at it, Joe. I'm not entirely sure if that was contact or if that was just a dual spin in sympathy, to be honest. But one way or the other, yeah, that gap is very big. But Brodiguen decides to dive into the pits now, as does Ben Leung.
Wonder if they got a little bit of damage. I thought Brodiguen snuck by without any contact, but he's elected to go for it now. We should see Florian go by. Robert Walton is a question mark, though. He was with them. And that is perhaps the driver we want to watch, the 5, when he gets close to the pit exit. He's actually coming along the front stretch right now.
Yes, he is keeping an eye there on Robert Walton in that number 5 to see where he is going to slot on out in terms of all of this with Florian as we wait now for everybody to get back on track.
It's a big gap. Yeah, that avoidance maneuver that Brodiguen took and Leung having to spin the car, unfortunately, well, not having to, but winding up spinning the car, has put them about 4.5 seconds behind Robert Walton. That is great news for the 5 because he was under immense pressure earlier on in this race.
Yes, he was. So we are now waiting for some of these top leading drivers right now to come on in, including Will Mungia here that we ride on board with as he tries to chase down Edward Trepay right ahead of him. And that is Antonio De Silva right ahead as well.
Lap traffic just letting the drivers through. This battle has certainly been an intense one here in the mid-pack. Haven't got to cover it as much because we've had such good fun there up with the top 5. Trepay up since 21st on the grid. My goodness, this is a great race for the 444. Sarumi, however, has been going a little bit backwards from 6th down to 10th. Down to 7th, really, now, sorry.
Yeah, not exactly what he would like. He had a great qualifying. He's just sort of falling down the order here. Let's wait and see if any of these drivers decide to come on in. A good handful of them. It looks like Surumi is going to stay out, but Morgan, Krebs, Clausen, De Silva, a lot of drivers opting to come on down.
Bucchier also pitting. In fact, looks like Morgan is in. Mark Harris might be the only one, along with Surumi, able to make it to lap 16. There's a couple drivers a little farther down that still need to make it to the pit entry, so we don't know if Holland, Crane, and Seduk will pit this lap, but this means we're getting close to the end of our pit window.
Yeah, indeed. The only two drivers I'm seeing that have not opted to come in on that, like you said, are Harris and Surumi, so they've got to be praying to the gods of their right feet to make sure they were light enough and that they're not going to have an issue where they run out halfway through this lap.
Those guys must be the Blessed Lady of Acceleration, I think, right?
Yeah, I believe that's right. I was raised Lutheran, so I don't know a whole much about the saints, but
I think you'll find
right.
it's Our Lady of the Martyred Tire.
I like that one as well. As we watch Mark Harris, they're still retaining P1, going to lead every single lap potentially. I don't think Surumi's close enough to be able to take that lead away, even if Mark pits this lap. And that's exactly what Mark will be doing this time through. So now we're just waiting on Surumi. I can report that everybody behind did pit in. Florian should be able to get back into that second place momentarily, and Morgan should be into third after that. So things have shuffled around a little bit up at the front, mainly due to some incidents happening, but that means that many of them have distanced themselves from each other. It's looking like mainly about 4 to 6 seconds between a lot of the top 5 once this all shakes out. Surumi now just coming in as well. So with Surumi entering and Mark Harris just coming out right now, it's time to bring you the Midway Race Report, brought to you by Pirelli. Pirelli was founded in Milan in 1872 and is a global brand known for its cutting-edge technology, high-end production, excellence, and passion for innovation that draws heavily on its Italian roots. Pirelli is among the world's major producers of tires and is an OEM supplier to Porsche. Find more about Pirelli at Pirelli.com. Rachel?
Yeah, thank you very much. And of course, as we start out today, we got Mark Harris out front with a ridiculous gap to the rest of the field. 40 seconds right now. He has been cruising. The Connecticut Valley region driver from Zone 1 in the 981 machine started on pole and is still very much on pole. This is his race to lose. Second place is Daniel Florian. He started 5th and he's running in 2nd right now. The Wilderness Trail region from zone at number 3, that 26 car, putting in a great run here. He's really putting on great speed, but not a patch on Harris. Nothing he can do will help him catch that. Third place, Keith Morgan, the Central Indiana region of zone number 4. Now putting on a good job here. The 700 machine is, by the looks of things, up 1 spot from where he started in 4th. 4th place is going to be Robert Walton from the Maverick region, zone 5, in the 5 car. So Mr. Texas driving his zone number. That's a good one for him. Robert is up from 7th place, so gains of 3 so far. 5th place tonight is going to be Jason Brodigan from the Maverick region, another Texan here in the 14 car. And Mr. Brodigan up from 9th place, so 4 spots up for him. Putting on a very good show here today. 6th place is Ben Young from the Upper Canada region of Zone 1. That 290 machine of Ben, up from 11th, so 5 gain for him. Are we going up a spot? People gain every single position? We'll have to find out. You know what? That's not the case. Trey Davis is in 7th right now. He's only up 1 spot from where he started in 8th. We've got a camera on board with him there, as we get to watch his racing in his room. First up as region driver with a 217, doing some working. Volker Krebs is in 8th from the Canada West region of Zone 6 in that gorgeous Haribo machine. It's the car I want to eat every single race. Up from 12th place, he's got gains of 4. Behind him, it is Art Glasson from the San Diego region of zone number 8. It was a home race stake-wise, of course, last week as we were in Fontana for the 242. Currently running in 9th, up from 16th, 7 gain. Antonio De Silva is in 10th in the Metropolitan New York region. In that very spicy looking livery there, the yellowy orange, yellowy green, sorry, I think I'm having a stroke. Yellowy green and black machine there for De Silva. De Silva is currently up 4 spots. Edward Trippett is in 11th from the Nordstern region of zone 10. Trippett up from 21st, so 10 spots gained there for him as he is running in that 444 machine. 12th place tonight will be Lanre Sumirumi from the Chicago region of zone 13. That 22 car is putting the work on, but unfortunately it has been a bad night for him. Started 6th and went backwards after early incidents. 13th place is Carl Bucchier from the Metropolitan New York region, zone number 1 there. Carl started 14th, currently in 13th, that's 1 spot gained for that winged Pegasus machine. 14th tonight is going to be Peter Yerkser from the Down East region of zone 1. The 54 car there is up from down from 13th to 14th, so 1 spot lost. 15th spot tonight will be Will Munguia from the Peach State region, the Florida driver there, or Georgia technically, driver here from zone 3. As they're really going for this thing tonight. 15th place, Will is currently up from 24th. That's 9 spots gained. Big moves. Taylor?
He is in an intense battle right now from the recent Toyota region. It is the 666 of Ryan Ravelos. There you see with his onboard camera. Ryan, of course, started in 10th position, so a tough break as he swoops around the outside the final corner to see if he can continue on with this battle. But he has to deal with another driver in 17th, and that is the 02 of Donald Binkley, as you see the pass there. Of course, Donald Binkley from the Music Stock region, as he's working his way down to the turn 1. An intense battle between these 3 drivers. For Binkley, though, started 18th, has gained 1 spot and looking to gain more as the laps continue to wind down. So move back to the 18th position. You'll find the 013 of Dean Chapman. Of course, from the northern New Jersey region, the Scaredy Cat racing car is working his way through as he goes a little wide through the first corner, but looking to see if he can gain a few spots after starting 15th. In the 19th position, you'll find Upper Canada region's very own Adam Holland in the 144. As he works his way down to turn number 1, Adam started in 17th, has lost 2 positions since the start of the race, looking to try to find a little bit extra as time progresses on. Rounding out your top 20 is Thomas Dougherty. As you're on board with him, look at that amazing setup that he has, utilizing, of course, a Fanatec Porsche wheel. And, of course, he has plenty of experience at this amazing circuit as he has driven at the ring 3 times in his life. An amazing opportunity for him as he is from Central Indiana region. 21st is Tom Crane from the Mardi Gras region in that vibrant yellow and white paint scheme as he works his way through. Tom started in 25th, so 4 spots gained for him since the start of the race. Jeep Barua not having the best of nights, losing 20 spots after starting in 2nd. The Mid-Ohio region driver looking to try to find anything in order to work his way up. Next up on 23rd is David Snelling, who is in that beautiful, vibrant red Porsche, as he has worked his way up through the field after starting in 22nd. So 1 spot lost, looking to see if he can at least finish where he started. Ramos Simon is now in 24th. The Upper Canada region driver started in 29th, so 5 spots gained for him. He is your last car on the lead lap. The first car 1 lap down in the 25th position from the Alaska region, James Bernard, working his way through the field right now, as he is currently 1 lap down, has gained up another position by the looks of it as he moves up into 24th. Al Sadouk is in 25th, the Eastern Buckeye region driver, as he works his way through the field after starting in, I believe, looking at timing and scoring right now, started in 28th, so a 2-spot gain for him, or 3-spot. Stephen Jacoby from the Lone Star region in car number 15. He is also 1 lap down as he is trying to work his way in his vibrant rainbow-colored Porsche. 27th is Edward Trippett, as he is on the pit road from the Nordstern region, looking to see if he can find his way back on the track. Next up is Andrew Hillman from the Shonesland region in car number 11, after starting in 23rd. The last car on the field is Henry Rogers. He is out of the race tonight.
This concludes tonight's Midway Race Report, brought to you by Pirelli. A big thank you to them as well. Thanks to Rachel and Taylor. And as for the 444 car, the reason he is in pit lane is he was unfortunately involved in a wreck with Bucchier. So that happened just recently. As we come back to Clayson here in the 242, he's got Volker Krebs in front of him. And these two have actually been in a bit of a battle during this rundown. But before we can get to that, let's go to Taylor with our trivia tonight.
Well, unfortunately, no one got the correct answer from the last one, so we'll be nice and give the answer away. The question we were looking for from the previous race was the most team wins of a Porsche manufacturer team that won the 24 hours of the Nürburgring. The answer is Manthey Racing, who's collected 7 wins at the famous 24 hours at the Nürburgring. Now, when we're here at this race for the PCA, we are to celebrate all things Porsche. As a matter of fact, this weekend, a very special group of people will be celebrating Porsche as the marquee manufacturer at this special event that is happening this weekend. The answer I'm looking for is what special event is happening this weekend that's going to be celebrating all things Porsche.
All right, well, enter it in the chat if you think you know it. We'll try and get it to air before the race is over. You got 3 minutes, and Mark Harris is actually coming up to finish his most recent lap right now. So we got 2 laps to go to try and get the answer in. There you see the very beautiful shiny chrome 981 onto the front stretch. It's up to 13 seconds over Daniel Florian. So both classes tonight have really shown themselves to be races of domination.
Yeah, they really, really have, Joe. And that's kind of what we've seen a lot of times when we come to the Nürburgring. It's such a specific track, and it really takes a fine hand to drive it well. And so you just see drivers absolutely start to power away. But we focus back here on what is shaping up to still be a pretty good battle. That's Clausen and Krebs still at it.
Yeah, I'm eager to see how this one shapes up. And a little bit of a bad exit, unfortunately, as we ride on board with Arnie. Just can't get the power down. It's going to have 2 more laps to try and do this. They're both within the top 10. Don't want to give this one away because Sarumi's only about 4 seconds back. So if they tangle, that could allow Lonray to gain a spot or 2.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the other real battle that we got on track. This is Will Mungia and trying to chase down Donald Binkley up ahead of him. To see Antonio De Silva popping down pit lane.
I'm not sure what this is for because I don't see a black flag for him. We'll check and see if there's an incident limit that's been hit. Unfortunately, we have had Bucchier down the pit lane for another black flag. He's back out in 18th. Since then, he's just been having a bit of a bad day all around. So we hop on board with Carl. In fact, he's actually might be able to get another position. This is Thomas Dougherty. Well, speak of the devil, this is the driver that started in 3rd, has only been able to get up into 17th. So 2 drivers that maybe should have been a little bit higher up in this race, especially Thomas Dougherty. We watch from his perspective here with his webcam. Kind of surprised that he isn't able to try and overtake more cars. Wonder if the challenge has just been that close out here on the track.
Yeah, it may have been. I'm not really sure what happened there to Thomas, but Bucchier looking pretty aggressive there through the Mercedes arena, really putting some good pressure to it.
You just take both hands off the wheel to adjust his headphones there.
I think he did. I think he did.
That scared me for a second. I was like, what is he doing? Meanwhile, Mark Harris is up at the front, and he has taken the white flag. The 981 out of the arena already well clear. Does he even have any lap traffic in front? No, he does not. This is just going to be effectively a victory lap for Mark today.
Yeah, indeed it will. A commanding drive, as we said again, from Mark Harris. Really, really dominant all the way around. But we got to jump back here. This is that battle for P8. Arnie Clausen. A little bit of a fade there from Volker Krebs as they go down the straight. Krebs getting very defensive on the entry into the Haug hook. Let's see if that's going to open up a little bit of a door to Clausen. He's going to try to make it work around the outside.
I think Volker just managed to keep the door shut there. But yeah, he was very shallow. Kind of surprised he was able to retain it as the 242 hounds him for that 8th position. This is Harris down into Michelin on your screen currently. Just a couple more corners to go. And Mark Harris is a 2-time winner for this series in the PCA Sim Racing Series presented by Hagerty. And it's going to be a twofer for him, back-to-back. And I think with Dougherty's troubles, this will shoot him into the points lead. This is a critical race today for Mark Harris coming out of Coca-Cola. The 981 machine is going to take victory here at the Nürburgring for event number 5.
A great run for the 981 here today. Behind him, this is Jason Brodigan, who's closing in on the back of Robert Walton. Closing in very, very quickly on the back of that machine. This is for 4th place right here. Some lap traffic affecting Walton as they come to the line. I don't know if Brodigan's going to be able to get the launch he wants to out of here, out of Coca-Cola. It doesn't look quite like it, but he's going to fight to the line.
Just didn't have enough of a run. Volker Krebs and Clayson are still at it as we hop on board with Sarumi, who did catch them from behind, but that was an awkward run through the chicane, so that won't do it. Krebs, same situation, just needs a solid exit off the corner, and the 53 has got it. So that's going to net him 8th place. Arnie with 9th, and Lonray rounding out the top 10. It's the last battle on screen. Barua and Bucchier both have been given black flags during this race.
Yeah, indeed they have, but they're going to make their way out of here and try to get a little bit of a battle going here for us. That is going to be Barua trying to close in there a little bit. He's got some speed as they go through the kink.
Looks to the inside. Avijit, it's just not close enough, though. And good defense there from Carl, trying to retain this 18th position. Still tight. Could we see a late dive down into Coca-Cola? No. Avijit doesn't want to try and risk another penalty after today, so they're going to stay in order. That's most of our fields. A few more actually finished on the lead lap this time. Thomas Crane, the last one, just coming across now in the 864. But that brings us to our winner, Mark Harris, who finished a full 13 seconds ahead of Daniel Florian. With Keith Morgan finishing on the last step of the podium, it was Robert Walton under pressure there at the last corner, but still maintaining 4th. Brodigan up from 9th to 5th, 4-position gain for him. 5 positions up for Ben Leung from 11th to 6th, and Trey Davis went up 1 into P7. Volker Krebs finished 8th as Clayson wound up 9th behind him, and Sarumi down 4 into 10th.
In 11th, it was Peter Yurza, followed by Ryan Rapolis, with Donald Binkley and Will Mungia behind them. Dean Chapman was 15th, and Antonio De Silva with that strange late pit stop there in 16th. Thomas Dougherty came home in 17th, followed by Carl Bucchier. Avijit Barua was unable to catch Carl, and Adam Holland rounds out your top 20.
21st went to David Snelling, and Tom Crane was the last one on the lead lap in 22nd. Simone finished 23rd today with Bernard in at 24th, and it was Al Sadouk 25th. Trippett was 26th, and Jacoby 27th. I believe we had a single DNF, and Hillman was the last to finish 2 laps down. Henry Rogers, the only one that didn't get to see the checkered flag. That is a nice sign here for the sport class here today. We have 3rd place finisher Keith Morgan ready to talk to us. Keith saw plenty of action up at the front. And Keith, as you start to have a group of drivers tail you in the middle of the race, do you get a little bit nervous, or were you able to keep your cool?
Well, some of these guys are pretty good at trying to get into your head. And I got to admit, for the first lap or two with them right behind me, it was working. I was making little mistakes, allowing them to get right up on my bumper. And in particular, Ben was just all over me for what felt like, 3/4 of the race. Then we had just an absolutely wild set of passes where we were three just bunched right on top of each other, and eventually I wound up in front of him, and he just pressured me what seemed like forever. It was really taking a mental toll on me, and then he just disappeared. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and check myself because so much went down in this race, including at the start of it. We saw in the replay here a little earlier your avoidance maneuvers that you had to make there in the first lap. Did you get a chance to watch the challenge race, and did you kind of had an inkling that there would be some problems in the first lap among drivers?
No, I did not get a chance to watch it. I always go back and watch it after this race, but I kind of was not expecting it. I think this is probably the first time I've started as far up as the second row, and normally from my vantage point, back in 6th, 9th, 10th, 15th, whatever. It looks to me like the first 3 or 4 rows tend to get through the first sets of corners clean. So I was thinking, yay, we'll sort it out, single file by turn 4, and then we'll just race. It really did not shake out that way.
Racing always seems to keep us on our toes, doesn't it? And this is third place is certainly going to be helpful in the championship points here for you. Do you see yourself managing to get maybe into the top 5? You came into this round, this event in 7th in the points.
Well, honestly, I have no idea what I'm doing in the top 10. There are so many guys out here that are just a lot faster than me, and it kind of feels like I've just been luckier in traffic, luckier in crashes, and honestly, I have no business thinking about championship points. I'm just not that good yet. All I do is look at the race I'm in and try to stay out of trouble.
Well, my dad always used to say, I'd rather be lucky than good. So sometimes you just got to take what comes your way. Knowing that, is there anybody that you want to thank for today's podium finish?
Yeah, I have to thank my wife again and her putting up with me and my imaginary friends in the box. I'd like to thank Josh Vieira, who's was working as our pro for a while, and Tom Dougherty and all the other guys in Zone 4, 2 and 4, that have just really made this a really awesome experience for us.
Well, it's been an awesome experience for us as well up in the booth. Congratulations. That was third place, Keith Morgan. And we now head over to Daniel Florian with DJ, who has finished second.
Indeed, I have. Daniel, you were kind of running a little bit off into a field of your own there, but you've got to be happy coming home second like you did here.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad finish. It was a crazy start, and then when the dust settled, found myself a few seconds behind Mark, but definitely couldn't catch him. He had great pace today.
When you get into a race like that where you kind of recognize that you can't catch the guy in front of you, does that change the way you drive at all, or are you still doing the same thing?
No, yeah, definitely. I think I wanted to see if I could do an undercut, but I definitely pitted way too early. So my fueling took a little bit longer. But by the time I heard that the leader was pitting, he was in and out in no time, since he didn't have to get that much fuel to finish the race.
Gotcha. Well, a happy run here today. Anybody you'd like to thank for it?
Yeah, special thanks to my friends, my buddies at Wilderness Trail Region, Ken, Daniel, Leo. They're just great friends that I do mountain runs with.
Well, thank you, Daniel. That was Daniel Florian, your second place finisher here today. And Taylor, I believe you have caught up with our third place finisher, Keith Morgan.
Actually, we caught up with our race winner, Mark Harris, who takes home the checkered flag here. Mark, a strong performance, a dominant performance. What was it like with you out there under the conditions of the track?
It was lonely, Taylor. I was up there by myself. It would have been great if some of the guys that got taken out early were right up there with me, tangling for the lead. It would have been fun.
Well, not only were you lonely, but you also made sure you had a clean race, 0 incidents, giving you the clean driver award for tonight. But as we look ahead to the next round at VIR, another challenging circuit, have you had any thoughts about preparing for this next coming race?
No differently than thoughts when I prepared for this one or the one previous to this. I'll just take it. I start Sunday nights and I start working from there through Tuesday night and Wednesday. That's it.
All right. Well, Mark, before we let you go and celebrate this victory, anyone you would like to give a shout out or thank you to?
Well, obviously my wife for putting up with all of this, all of the guys at the PCA for putting it on, you guys for putting on the show also. It makes it pretty fun. Get to the point here where we win, and all the guys that we race with every week, week in and week out, it's a fun time. Appreciate all of them.
Well, that is the Connecticut Valley region's very own Mark Harris in the 981 who takes home the checkered flag here tonight.
Thank you, Taylor.
So with that, our interviews have finished, and that means we'll see you next time at the Nürburgring for the club and pro classes. It all kicks off at 9 p.m. Eastern on Friday, October 29th, live here on Podium Esports. Thank you so much to our title sponsor, Hagerty, as well as the series sponsors, Z1 Dashboard and Pirelli. A big thank you to the steering committee at PCA Sim Racing, and a huge thanks to our team tonight, DJ Taylor, Rachel, Ryan, Eric, and Dougie. Also, none of this is possible without those behind the scenes at Podium Esports, James Pike, Gary Sexton, Cisco Scaramuza, and John Theodore. Thank you so much for watching tonight's broadcast of PCA Sim Racing presented by Hagerty. I'm Joe Peak, and I'll see you on the track.